Boy, am I glad to see the sun out yet again. Anyway, as for the topic of today's video, love triangles have been a subject matter discussed in television, movies, and songs for decades now. But rarely do you see it blow up so much on the internet with online celebrities. But that was the case with TheoGate. So today we'll discuss that in further detail. If there's one thing people can't seem to get enough of, it's a good old-fashioned beef between internet celebrities. And if there's something they love even more than that, it's speculating about the potential private feuds. We've gone down this rabbit hole in the past with the secrets surrounding the Game Grumps split. Today we'll be going into uncharted territories for this account, which is discussing the comedian podcast community. In the realm of stand-up comedy, there's dozens of online shows with people doing skits, reviewing videos, and having conversations with fellow comedians. With such a tight-knit group, rumors are sure to fester. But over the years, there's been none bigger than TheoGate. This story begins at the popular Your Mom's House podcast, hosted by married stand-up comedian couple Tom Segura and Christina Pazsitzky, better known by her stage name, Christina P. On the show, the duo has many guests, usually fellow stand-up comics in the podcasting world. It seemed as if every big player had been on their show. However, after a while, fans began to notice a glaring omission from the YMH's guest list. A man by the name of Theo Von. Theo was a crowd favorite in the podcasting world, and fans often requested that he be a guest on Your Mom's House. Those requests seemed to fall on deaf ears. It was already being speculated around the fan base that there was some sort of unrest between the three. But things really began to heat up on March 6, 2019, when comedian Brandon Schaub appeared on the YMH podcast. During his interview, he mentioned the fact that Vaughn felt like they didn't like him.
So Theo thinks you guys don't like him, by the way.
Why?
I don't know. He's like, because we got done doing the show today. He's like, what are you doing? And I filmed a show before that for Showtime.
One of your 9 shows?
Yes. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to do Your Mom's House with Tom and Christina. He's like, oh. He's like, I'm like, have you done it before? I love them. He's like, nope, they don't invite me, man. He's like, I don't think they like me.
While the couple denied the notion, they did seem eager to quickly change the subject. Eagle-eyed viewers swear they noticed a cut in the footage, although it's kind of subtle. From there, people started to make bold claims of some sort of love triangle between the three that caused things to become weird. But these claims appeared baseless. Regardless, once the ball started to roll, it would only keep on picking up speed with internet detectives on the case. Their investigating first brought them all the way back to the year 2000. This is when Vaughn first got his start in the entertainment business, when he appeared on season 9 of the MTV reality show Road Rules, in which a group of 6 young strangers were put into an RV together. In season 6 of the show, Christina had also appeared as a contestant, and while the two obviously weren't part of the same season, she and Vaughn did meet in an episode of season 9. This appears to be the first instance of the two interacting. This proves that they have known about each other for quite some time, and with that being said, let's jump forward another 12 years, when Christina and Theo did an interview together before a show at Palm Beach Improv. About a minute in, the two begin to hold hands for a few seconds before Christina awkwardly pushes Theo away, to which he appears to say, "You started it."
So, pretty much, you're no holds barred when you do your comedy. You'll go dirty, you'll go whatever. So is it hard for you to go on TV and be TV queen?
No, not at all. I mean, I was on Chelsea lately for
Conspiracy theorists use this as a key piece of evidence to prove at some point there was some sort of romantic relationship between the two. And at the time of this clip, Christina had been married to Tom for quite a few years. This caused even more armchair detectives to dig through podcast archives in an attempt to find answers. And they were successful in finding a pattern of Christina and Tom becoming awkward or changing the subject entirely whenever Theo was brought up. In a 2017 interview on Bobby Lee's Tiger Belly podcast, Christina seems to get uncomfortable when the subject of Mr. Vaughn is brought up.
Like, these two... I know, are you friends with Theo?
I know him. We're not bros. I met him a couple times when we did the shows. I've seen him.
A few days later, Dr. Drew appears on Your Mom's House. He brings up Vaughn and the subject is quickly changed. In February of 2019, Vaughn and his guest Ari Shaffir openly make fun of Segura for canceling a series of shows in order to make time for a movie he was working on. These jokes got very specific too, bringing up things like forcing things or being angry about things you should just let go of. Just a month after that, on another episode of This Past Weekend, Vaughn seems to forget Segura's last name.
I know who you would be if you'd be, who's Bert Kreischer's friend, the comedian? Tom Segura. If you hated Louisiana, you'd be Tom Segura.
Really?
Yeah.
Next up in May, in an episode of Your Mom's House, Ethan Klein of H3H3 Productions brings up Vaughn, and there's a very obvious and abrupt cut to them talking about something else.
Yeah.
Now it's FIFA. We changed it in light of the Cosby scandal.
Wait, hold on. I want to ask you guys about Theo Vaughn, because there's like a whole beef with you guys there, isn't there?
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh, man. So,
perhaps one of the biggest clues in the TheoGate investigation, though, was when Segura made a series of jokes in his Netflix special about how he wants to build a wall around the state of Louisiana. This angered many Louisiana natives, including Theo Vaughn himself. In a little speech online, he included the names of a number of celebrities who had been killed in Louisiana as a response. This was sinister, to say the least. So with all this building up, it appeared at some point things would have to be addressed, and they would be soon. We'll get to that though after a brief word from our sponsor. Attention all gamers, we live in a society where DDoS attacks are rampant, and we risk being oppressed any day. That is why you need ExpressVPN. It protects your privacy and security every time you use the internet, even when you're not gaming, which I know is pretty rare. Your whole gaming experience is enhanced when you use ExpressVPN. Whether it's accessing geo-restricted servers, getting early access to games that are launched in different countries, improving latency, or reducing those pesky DDoS attacks. And the reason why you should use ExpressVPN over the competition is because they have the fastest speeds, server locations in 94 countries, and apps for every one of your devices. That's why I use ExpressVPN, and it's less than $7 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Take back your internet privacy today and find out how you can get 3 months free by clicking the link in the description box or going to expressvpn.com/mysteries. As time went on, the comment sections of anything related to Tom, Christina, or Theo became unbearable to read. Since the three were unwilling to address the ongoing meme as they usually would in other circumstances, many started to use that as proof that they were onto something. Whenever these comedians would go on another person's show, the comments would just be a ton of people spamming the hashtag TheoGate. With all that evidence now gathered, people began to speculate what could be the cause of this feud. The most widely accepted theory was that, as stated earlier, Christina P. was having an affair with Theo Vaughn. There of course is the 2012 Palm Beach improv interview to support this, as well as the fact that they were rarely seen together since on podcasts despite being in the same social circle. It was admittedly pretty thin as far as evidence goes, but people were grasping onto anything they could to support their case. To be fair, these people were trying their best with the information they had, but on the other hand, others would argue that none of this was any of their business. And just when it seemed like TheoGate would forever remain nothing more than a conspiracy theory, finally on June 26, 2019, Theo Vaughn appeared as a guest on Your Mom's House to discuss and dispel all the rumors surrounding the three of them. In the podcast, Theo does confirm that he thought Tom and Christina disliked him, mostly due to the fact that he had never been invited onto the YMH podcast before, and because Segura had been kind of cold to him in a few previous meetings.
We're having him on here to kind of talk about this TheoGate stuff, right?
Oh, right. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
TheoGate.
Yeah.
Invitation only.
No.
Invitation only.
Well,
and you're here.
And I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. So for people that don't know.
Yeah, people that don't know.
A few months ago, it started with, I feel like one of the origins of it was Shab coming on the podcast.
Look at that jacket.
Look at his face.
Oh, it started before Shab.
It did?
Did it?
No, but like he was the origin of like it ramping up.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was the one, like when he came on is when I called you. Like shortly thereafter.
Right.
They also confirmed that there had been a cut during the interview with Brian Schaub, but not for the reason most people thought. It turns out Schaub had asked a follow-up question about All Things Comedy, a network they were part of. They cut this out simply because they thought it was inappropriate to discuss business during the podcast. In regards to the moment with Ethan Klein, that was apparently intentional. They had told Klein before the podcast started to ask about Theo Von at some point, and they purposely cut it as awkwardly as possible in order to stoke the flames and mess with people. In fact, many instances that people cited as evidence to TheoGate's authenticity were hoaxes, according to the comedians themselves. Finally, they discussed the infamous Palm Beach improv interview. According to Christina, at the time she thought that Theo hated her. So during their interview together, she made a very awkward attempt to annoy him, which clearly didn't work out the way she had planned. While at first many fans weren't convinced and thought that this all might just be all parties agreeing on a story to keep their private lives private, Your Mom's House recently released a behind-the-scenes look at the hoax, which showed definitive proof that they were intentionally stoking the flames. With that, it seemed like the book had been closed on TheoGate. Some people will of course continue to speculate for years to come, but most are satisfied with the answers they received, and they will admit that they were the ones who had been trolled. So there you have the story of TheoGate, and honestly at the end of the day I'm pretty impressed with how well they were able to troll their fan base. And because of that, I think it's something that other people online should actually look at as good examples of how to deal with rumors. And with that being said, I think I'll end the video here, so until next time, thanks for watching.